Today I wanted to talk to you about the power of African prints. And I think you can see, but I have one of my many beautiful skirt. Um, and I have many dresses and stuff. And I just wanted to tell you about the power of the prints, the colors, but also the patterns that are on them. Let me see if I can try to push the video back so you can see more. Okay, so you have a better idea basically of what I'm talking about. So as you can see a little bit on this skirt, there is a lot of different patterns, a lot of lines, a lot of circles. You even have what some will say the tree of life, the flower of life, or a pattern really much resembling that right there. And of course you have lines, and then you have different colors. And this is a really earthy skirt, so it has like the brownish and the blue, the green and the oranges that are basically mimicking colors that you will find naturally in nature, and obviously with the water, with the blue, the dark blue. So for us, the process of making different African patterns and choosing the colors, choosing the symbols that's going to be woven into the fabric is, I'm going to put my sunglasses because the sun is really hot. So the pattern is really it's really a whole process. It's really thought after. It's sometimes even done intuitively, done spiritually. There used to be a whole industry of people dedicated to just do this as a living, selecting the pattern, creating the cloth, matching the colors with the different symbols and all of that. So it wasn't something that people would do just because they wanted to or as a fashion trend. It was really something that was weaved into the culture and that people did to serve a specific purpose. You may also see that there are certain patterns and certain prints that are reserved for royalty. Meaning that not everyone, not the common person, will be wearing that. There are also attire that are reversed for specific occasions, and I will try at the end of the video to put you some pictures so you can have an idea of, wedding attires, funeral attires, so forth and so on. And of course, as you go from different African countries, there are different patterns being used, and there are different fabrics and colors being used as well. But there is a novel trend that just shows that people would follow this kind of principle, that there's always some type of attire that's reserved for specific occasions. And I think since I've been in North America, I've often had this thing of people saying, oh, why don't you wear your African dresses or your African thing or your African that. And I think there's a misunderstanding of the use of this type of clothing, which is not just as a fashion trend or just to do just because. To me, every time I'm wearing a specific skirt, it is because there is a specific reason for it. And another thing that I will talk to you about is that we've talked a lot about colors and how different colors can have a different impact on you and on others as well. And that has a lot to do with also the African prints. If you look at Western clothing industry and the colors being used, most of the time is very much colors, one unique color that's being used on a garment. Like for example, this tank top is brown. It's a unified, only one color. There's no symbol, there's no pattern. Most people, if you look around you in the office, they're probably wearing black or gray or blue, dark blue, and so forth and so on, but the colors are always one unique color. And that, to me, exemplified the part of the way of thinking and that is less complex, meaning that if you are wearing just one color, that particular color is going to be the main factor, have the main impact. Of course, you can see people who wear certain, what is being called as ethnic patterns, like especially when people are wearing tunics and stuff like that, or what they call patterns, where you have like animal prints and all of these things. But you always see that those kind of prints and stuff like that, unless a person has a particular affinity where half of the closet is like animal prints, usually something that they will wear occasionally, not on a day-to-day basis. People are usually in the Western world, North America, Europe, usually not wearing patterns and print on a daily basis. However, when you look at African clothing, it's actually very rare to see one cloth that is just one unique color without any pattern, without any symbols on it. And I think it expresses the complexity of the culture, the complexity that we are very complex people. We are really in tune with the different spheres and spaces of this universe and the multiverse, and that is reflected in our way to make our clothing, how we make it. And you can see that most indigenous people will have clothing that have many different patterns and symbols weaved into them. If you look at Native American clothing, the colors, there's multiple colors on the garment. There are multiple little details on them that they wear on a daily basis. And it's similar to most of African prints also will have multiple different type of color, multiple symbols, lines, and all kind of things going on in there. So when you wear that, it has a really deep impact on you in so many different levels, because each pattern and each color has a meaning, has a symbol, has an influence on the person wearing them, and also on whoever is going to be looking at that. And you see that African prints have been trendy lately outside of the African community. It has been I would say misappropriated even, and I'll get to that in future videos. As I mentioned, we are going to be talking about this because it's very important for us as Africans to understand the importance of preserving our heritage and of giving its proper value, of understanding that what we create is unique and tremendously important to humanity, and it has to be preserved, and it shouldn't be corrupted. And I think sometimes we tend to not view things that we find common as valuable, and that has to change. We really have to gain the importance of looking at our own creation as one of the most amazing things in the world, and we need to look at that so that we can value it, treasure it, and share it with the world, but also protect it from people who will try to usurp it and to take that for their own. And we've seen that in the past, and we currently see it with the wax that's being made in the Netherlands. To me, it is a form of cultural appropriation, because it does not, whenever you're using something that comes from another culture, you have to give credit where credit is due. You have to recognize the impact of the source where you're taking this from. And I think wax Hollandais, or Holland wax, as we call it, fails to do that. It's almost as if they are pretending to have birthed this type of fabric, and I think it is kind of an insult if it is not also valued with the people who created it and who energized that and who promote it and who keep it alive, basically. And that's really important for people to get a grasp of. I think wherever you are in the world as an African person, when you see your own African prints, your own thing, it first of all isn't even hard to know that it has an African flavor, an African source to it. You intuitively know it. And so it is important to be that person that's going to make that, underline that, value that, and push others to do the same. If we don't value what we create, what kind of creators are we truly? And so I have many different drapes. I just wanted to show you some other things, some other pattern that you can look at. Even when I film inside, I do have on my wall a piece of African pattern on it, and I will in a future video explain to you exactly what it means and why I'm using it on my as a background for my videos. And this is just another print that I really spoke to me, that I really love. I haven't used it yet. So you can use it to make clothing, but you can also use it to do all kind of pattern nowadays. You can use it to do your bed sheets, your pillow ties, your cushions, you name it. It is really endless. I've even seen some of them being used, treated and used as decorative bathroom shower curtains, all kind of thing nowadays, bed covers and stuff like that. So you have many ways to incorporate them around you, and you have also many ways to use them. One of them is like to find a pattern and to find a texture that is going to energize you. It's really good if you days where you don't feel like you have that much energy, you can put that on and really feel much more vibrant. That's one of the purpose of the pattern of the clothing. I'll go a lot more in depth in terms of the symbols, what the symbols means, the African symbols also, when we'll talk about symbols in upcoming series. But it's just for you to have kind of a little grasp to say that, when you wear something, in modern society or in Western society, it's like you can wear whatever, throw on a white t-shirt, you're good to go, or a white tank top or whatever, and you're good to go. For us, in our tradition and our culture, it's much more when you're wearing something, you're wearing it for a reason. It has a purpose. It will have an impact. You're thinking about that, or you get to the point where you're doing it intuitively, unconsciously, automatically. But it has a significance. You're not just, following other people on their own trend. You are really picking and choosing what you want to wear that day because it's going to have an impact on your day. It's going to have an impact on you. And for those of you who are, sometimes you're talking about there are days where you feel you have low energy. That's just a simple, great way to give a punch of energy. I mean, you're looking at this skirt and you're looking at the colors, and how can you not be feeling smiling and feeling more closer to nature? There are other patterns as well where when you see them, you automatically feel good. You automatically feel like you want to smile, like you feel much more positive. Not that you're trying to run away from negativity or anything like that, because we've talked about shadow work and the importance of facing your fears and facing your the difficulties that may come your way. But it's just important to be able to have different tools when you feel like you just have a moment of low energy and you want to get back on the train or get something done. This is also why in the series about working and doing some schoolwork, I've talked about and mentioned about how you can use your attire and your clothing in order to support that. So see clothing as a tool, and African clothing in particular, because the energy behind the clothing, the symbolism behind it also give it much great power. There used to be certain patterns and certain clothing that you could not wear until you had gone through certain things. So it just reflects the approach of the culture and the view of the culture in terms of having clothing and things that have meanings, that have purpose. So you wouldn't just pack up your closet full of clothes that you don't use or that you don't like. That's why everything in your home should have a purpose. You should know why it's there and you should know how to use it. And that's something I'm going over in my audio program on creating sacred spaces. There's one section where we talk about the closet, where we talk about how to select things and to ensure that the things you bring into your space are energetically compatible with you, compatible with your objectives, your goals, the energy of your home, and your overall family life and community life. So that is very, very important. And also, obviously, your choices in the clothing that you make have many impacts on very different spheres. I've talked a little bit about how it can have a spiritual or energetical impact based on the colors you're choosing, the texture you've chosen, where it's coming from, and so forth. But it also has an impact in all of the other spheres of life, including economics. If you're choosing to buy or purchase certain things, you are basically investing in those industries, investing in those businesses. So it has an impact in terms of where your money is going, because that's where your attention is going, your energy is going there, and obviously your money, which is one of the most finite form of energy, is being invested. And you have to be conscious of those decisions. You have to understand that when I'm speaking about spirituality, I tend to talk about specific topic that we are tackling, but spirituality is infused in everything you know, in everything you see, in every single phase and dimension of your being and of your experience. You know, what you choose to eat has a spiritual meaning. What you choose to purchase, what you choose to create, what you choose, how to choose to interact with others, everything like that is related. So the production of art like this, of tools such as this, is spiritually related. It's not just a matter of wanting to create something, of wanting to follow some kind of trend. It really has a deeper meaning that can be explored for those who are inclined to do so. And so this is why many people will tell me, well, you know, why don't you come to work every day dressed like this, or da, da, da. And I mean, I always take this time that I don't justify or explain my spirituality to other people. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. My spirituality and my experience is really something for me to know. That's why I don't really get into debate. When someone disagrees with me or have a different perspective, I always listen to that perspective, because I know I'm gaining something from that, from at the very least gaining awareness of what else is out there. Okay? Now, we don't have to agree. We can even agree to disagree. But I don't debate. I just leave other people have their own experiences, have their own vision of things. And so if I say that I don't wear my African clothing on a daily basis to go to a place like work, there's a reason behind that. One being that when I do wear them, I wear them for specific reasons that are not just to look pretty or to appeal to certain people or to have to prove my Africanness, because I've seen this. Wearing dashikis and African print is not going to make you more African in the sense that your Africanness and your love for Africa and the continent and the culture comes from within. And because if it comes from within, you will express it in every single facet of your life. You will express it in the way you'll choose your partner, in the way you'll choose people you're going to be attracted to, in the way you'll choose your job and the things that you're going to do, in the way you will behave towards other people, in the way you will behave at work or in any such type of environment. So that spirit is going to be infused in everything else that you're experiencing. Therefore, you know, focalizing on wearing African prints and dresses, it's nice, it's good, but immersing, understanding, valuing, and expressing the culture is so much deeper and it's so much better. Because the reason why we even have these and the dashikis and all of that to be able to indulge and express is because people who are in the culture are producing them. So it's really important to value that and to understand that without the culture, without that knowledge and those people, there won't be no dashikis to be parading around. There won't be, you know, your African. Where would your Africanness rest? That's the true question that you need to ask. You know, you could be wearing African print all day, every day, and still have destructive behavior, in that context, the power of the print wouldn't even have the actual thing that it should have, in terms of bringing you to understand certain things, bringing you to support you in your own development, in your own spiritual activation, in terms of bettering your own self, doing things for your family, doing things for your community and for your people as a whole. So I just wanted to touch on that because I've got into different conversation and people bragging about, having this and having that, which I think they're actually missing the point. It's not about how many African skirts you buy and parade it. It's how one particular item is able to assist you and push you to do so much more, to be so much more, and to represent what Africa and the essence of who we are as a people is. So that's really where I want people to approach it. You could go and purchase, 1,000 dresses, but at the end of the day, yes, you'll be giving out many to a particular African company or black-owned businesses and stuff like that, which is wonderful and great. But ultimately, you need to be wearing those clothing. You need to wear them with pride. You need to use them to serve you in the purpose that you have or the contribution that you have. I've worn this particular skirt to go to conferences in Vancouver when I had to speak there, and in a very different context, because it was a legal context for work and stuff like that. And I used it to introduce this type of dressing into that environment that is very conservative. So I had a white shirt and I had this skirt, and I kept getting so many compliments and people asking me about it, and it was for me a way to make a statement, to bring attention to my own culture in that particular environment. There was a purpose behind that, and obviously the skirt is gorgeous, so I knew I always just from that alone I will be getting some attention from it. But I did it with a purpose. When I wear those for at work or any kind of different environment, I do it with a precise purpose behind it, to bring people awareness and to showcase certain things, as well as to put myself in a certain state of mind. So I encourage you to just look beyond the dashikis, look beyond the different colors, get involved into understanding what are the patterns, especially when you are choosing what fabric you want to purchase, or what kind of dress or skirt you want to purchase, or maybe even pants and top for your husband or the man in your family, to understand what are the patterns, what are the impact of the colors, and to take that in consideration when you're choosing, so that it is really a clothing that is going to fit in everything else that you're doing as a whole. So the power of African print really resides in how you're using them, how you're understanding its purpose, how much value you place on the effort that was put into creating and bringing this to the world, and how much you give back, giving back by using it and wearing it as almost a sacred tool, I will say, almost something that should be your cloth, in the sense that you shouldn't feel the same wearing this and when you're wearing any other Western type of clothing. That's where I'm getting. You should really feel the difference, and I think that difference, you really feel it when you're in tune with the meaning and the purpose of the item of clothing, when you're in tune with the colors, the patterns, and you know what it means, and you know what you're trying to get out of it, and you know how to behave yourself when you're wearing that. I think it's really, really disrespectful to be wearing the shikis or any kind of African print and be acting irresponsibly, or be acting carelessly, recklessly. I won't even get into being, disrespectful to women and children and all that stuff. So you are pretty much, when you're doing this kind of behavior in those prints, you are basically, I'll say, almost violating the sanctity and the sacredness of this artwork and this art form. You are almost spitting on the grave of your ancestors for the reason and the hard labor that came into bringing this. So I think when you wear African print, you should be wearing it with pride. You should be wearing it knowing that you have to have a certain behavior. Think about it as almost a uniform. A uniform is something that is used in order for you to know that you have to behave a certain way. when you have your school uniform, you know that when you're wearing it, certain rules apply. When you have a military uniform or any kind of uniform, you know that you are more aware of the rules that are applicable. And I think this is kind of the same way you should be wearing it. You know, especially as a woman, when you're wearing your skirt or your African pattern, you should be in tune with what it means. You should be in tune with what it represents and how to represent that with pride and with honor and dignity, and know what it means, or be in the process to know and learn what it means before you start wearing it anyhow and doing all kinds of things. I think it's very important that we respect ourselves and respect and value our tradition, and especially these kind of traditions, because no other people will respect it for us. So I don't want to discourage you. I just want you to push deeper, to search for deeper, and to be much more grounded into our roots, in the sense that we don't just look at the aesthetic and saying, oh, what a pretty skirt. We look at it and saying, you know, who are the women, the grandmothers that came before us, that picked these colors, that put these colors together? Who are the men, the fathers, the grandfathers, the brothers, the sisters, the cousins who supported in the making of doing this? What are the feelings that come to me when I'm wearing that? How am I expressing them, and how best can I express them to the world, to myself, and to others? I think those are great conversation that you need to have with yourself to define exactly how you want to behave in the world, and how you want to behave with yourself, and what you want to uncover, and how these can help you bring out these different qualities that are within you, and to just cherish them and support people who are bringing this to the world. So I just wanted to talk to you about that, and I hope it will give you a different take in terms of wearing African clothing and deciding to indulge in that, and giving it the respect and the pride that it deserves. As much as we love our jeans and our little black dress and all of the other different things, we have to know that we have garment of our own, we have traditions and cultures of our own, that are just waiting for you to explore, and that can do wonders for you if you take the time to invest, learn, and know how to use them properly. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.